Whether you are tuning in live as I just hop on here, or if you're watching the replay, I'm Safriana Luna, quantum creatrix, divine channel intuitive healer, and the queer spirit guide. So I wanted to actually just talk live about why Imbolc is so important to me and why it's so exciting for me to finally be offering this in an official program of the Silver Wheel Spiritual Circle. Imbolc is not a holiday that a lot of people know about. It is a holiday that marks the point between winter and spring. So it's the halfway point between winter and spring. It's sort of this beautiful, magical liminal space in time. I see a couple of people hopping on live, so please feel free to say hi. But Imbolc is this holiday where we're really seeing the reemergence of light again. We're really seeing the thaw happening in our environment, and we're feeling the energy beginning to grow. And by the way, if I see several people saying hi, and I can't actually see your names unless you give Restream permission to show your name. So I'm going to just post this link and hope that it shows up, but it's to chatrestream.io if you want to let me see your name, or just like say hi, it's so and so, and I will absolutely wave at you. So Imbolc, again, this liminal space holiday, and we're seeing like spring. The promise of spring is right around the corner, and for some of us that's really exciting, and for some of us it feels like a lot of pressure. But for me in particular, it's always been a time of tremendous transformation and of really deep inner work, kind of coming to deeper intentions with myself and really getting to know the flavor of what my year was going to be like, what I was really going to be working on. Because when we're in the middle of winter, like New Year's Day in the middle, it's still dead in the middle of winter, and a lot of the intentions we set at that time don't feel super powerful for whatever reason. And I think it has to do with this seasonal alignment. So anyway, that's what the holiday itself is, but for me it's actually been really significant at different points in my life because of its association with Brigid, because of its energetic alignment, because of events that have happened in my life. So I haven't really talked a whole lot publicly about the pregnancy loss that I experienced in 2012. And that experience, I found out that I was going to lose the pregnancy. I found out my daughter was going to die, was not going to make it past birth, basically, around this time of year, around the time of year where Imbolc comes up. So that created this supercharged energy that I didn't know what to do with for years. And long story short, years after this experience, while still deeply healing from it, I was at a spiritual retreat, walking blindfolded through the woods, and I very distinctly felt, heard, experienced, knew Spirit was talking to me through the voice of someone named Brigid. So whether you believe in gods and goddesses, if you believe there's only one God, I don't care. I think everyone has their own unique view. But for me, entities such as gods, goddesses, spirits, ancestors, angels, they are these facets of divine energy, right? So they're not, there's the ultimate, the one, the all, that many people call God, that I think is everything, but I see gods, goddesses as faces of that. So this new face appears to me, this woman with fiery red hair, and I don't visually see things, but I'll get senses or like storybook words coming through. And Brigid is literally telling me like it's all going to be okay, mother energy is here. And I didn't know her name at first. I was just getting these feelings and the senses that someone was here with me in the woods as I was walking blindfolded. Well, come to find out, after I unpacked who this was and talked to some other people at the spiritual retreat, and they said, oh wow, that sounds like Brigid, and I started to dig into the story of Brigid, I found out that she's actually associated with losing children. It's a minor story. She's better known as a goddess of healing and a patron saint. She was not erased when many of the pagan gods and goddesses were erased. She was so beloved in the hearts of people that she became Saint Brigid and became a part of the Catholic Church. So Brigid is known for her fire energy, for her healing energy, for her water energy, for her poetry, but very rarely for her child loss story. And when we think of the term keening, of this sorrowful wailing, some of the myths going back to Brigid's child loss, her keening, that word keening, like shows up in this myth, and they sometimes talk about her as the goddess of keening. So to me, she's really represented this mother figure entity who understands the profound loss of what it's like to lose a child, and not everyone has that experience, and it's definitely not a part of a lot of myths and stories that we see in a spiritual sense. So the fact that there's this holiday for her, and well, Imbolc is a holiday for a lot of different reasons, but she's associated with it, and I find that really interesting that this time of year for me is one of thinking about birth, thinking about death, thinking about rebirth, and this liminal space between winter, which is death, and spring, which is birth. So that's a little quick story for why Imbolc is so important to me, is because it is this profoundly energetic, sensitive, tender time of that space between death and birth, or death and rebirth. And there is a lot of renewal energy in that. There's a lot of room for grief in that. There's so much beautiful energy that we can tap into with Imbolc's energy. So I will be celebrating Imbolc privately on the 1st, and then I will be offering a public ritual for people who want to purchase a ticket, and that will be on the 2nd at 6 p.m. Eastern. So if you're like, I don't know, I've never done a ritual like this before, or I don't know if there's symbolism for me particularly, but like it's calling your attention, it feels interesting and juicy, there is a link attached to this video that you can check out if that feels appealing to me or to you. I would love to have you and really share in this tender moment together, because it is a time to nourish ourselves from after all of the darkness. It's a time to begin to lean in towards that light again. And I think that that's really something beautiful to tune into. So I would love to tune in with you. I'd love to hear how this time of year around the beginning of February feels for you. And if you also get that sense of it sort of really being the beginning of the year when momentum starts to pick up, because January just feels out of sorts in a way, please feel free to leave a comment, #replay if you'd like, and I will talk to you all soon. All right.